Welcome everyone to this tech talk on process orchestration for empowered teams, otherwise known as POET. So Ayushi Agarwal is going to be presenting this session. She has presented a tech talk in the past quite recently as well. But Ayushi brings over 12 years of experience across software development and product management. She started her career in software engineering before she moved into product leadership, and she's been focusing on building innovative, customer-centric solutions. At TraceLink, Ayushi leads product initiatives that digitize people-to-people processes in the pharmaceutical supply chain, which enable global enterprises and their partners to collaborate more effectively. She is passionate about creating intuitive products that deliver compliance, efficiency, and real business value for customers. Um, Before I hand over to Ayushi, I just want to go through our antitrust guidelines. As always, our classes are public. So if I could just ask you to refrain from initiating any discussions around pricing, deal making, selling, promoting, or any other activities which could be seen as anti-competitive, and our general class guidelines, which is just there. Again, because our classes are public, we just ask you to refrain from initiating any company-specific examples. Having said that, if you do have any questions, please ask. I am going to actually ask a couple of questions myself at the end, and then I'll unmute the lines if anyone has any questions. And if you do have any follow-up questions after this tech talk, or if you're listening to the recording, please feel free to email tracelink@tracelink.com. So on that note, I'm going to hand over to Ayushi. Thank you so much for presenting.
Thank you so much, Laura. Hello, everyone, and welcome. So, thank you for joining us today, and I'm really excited to walk you through a critical component of the POET application, which is the people collaboration. So, in the pharma supply chain, collaboration is everything. That is like the key in the pharma supply chain. But it is often very fragmented. And what I mean by that is you have critical conversations happening in emails, data lying in spreadsheets, and the formal processes in different portals. Everything is very fragmented, nothing is like consolidated at one place. Poet is designed to fix this problem. And today we are going to explore how Poet unifies all of this communication from your internal teams to your external supply chain partners into a single and efficient workflow. From an agenda perspective, let's take a quick look at what we're going to talk about today. First, we'll get an overview of the two primary ways to collaborate in Poet. Then we'll dive into each one. First, the in-app method of using comments and attachments. Second, and this will be a key focus for us, where we'll explore the powerful email-based interactions, both inbound and outbound. Then we'll connect this to a real world scenario that is very vital for this audience here, managing a compliance exception process, specifically how it can be handled using the prescribed HTA formats. After that, I'll switch from the slides to a demo so you can see all of this in action. And finally, we'll wrap up by summarizing the business benefits and opening up the floor for your questions. So let's dive into it. So, at its core, Poet's collaboration philosophy is all about flexibility. It's not about forcing you into one rigid workflow. Hence, Poet provides you two powerful and interconnected paths for collaboration. First, you have an in app collaboration. This is your single source of truth. It's for your internal teams, your power users who are working directly in the application. This is where the definitive and auditable history of the work item lives. Second, you have email based interactions. This is for flexibility and critically for engaging your external partner ecosystem. Your CMOs, your 3PLs, or the suppliers who live in their email inbox can be brought into the workflow without them having to log into a new system altogether. And the real magic, which we'll see, is how these two paths are always synchronized. So let's first take a look at the in-app method. This is the foundation of collaboration in Poet, which is comments and attachments. First, it provides a centralized discussion. So instead of a CMO's approval being buried, in one person's email chain and a 3PS shipping document in another, every conversation is right here on the work item itself. So for anyone in quality or compliance, this is like a single, permanent, and an auditable record where all of the discussions that's happening on the work item can be seen. Second, this is a universal feature, meaning it is part of the core POET solution. Any work item or subtype you create has this capability from day one. And finally, and this is the key, you have contextual attachments. You can attach the deviation report, the batch record, the screenshot of the error, or anything directly to the conversation. So, no more like see separate email or check the shared drive for that particular file. No more doing that. The evidence is attached directly to the work item which you're looking at. Now, let's see how they actually look inside the POET system. This slide shows a snapshot of the comments being added to a document review ticket. And let's call it the SOP review, serialization, and batch release, for example. Notice how clear and robust this is. In the first comment here, Patricia Reynolds initiates the review. And she isn't vague in what she writes. She writes very precisely, please update the section 31B to clarify the sign of order. And she also provides immediate context by attaching a file. In this case, could be an image or a document showing what needs to be fixed. So this is the definition, or this is what I meant when I was saying centralized discussion in the previous slide. The conversation and the evidence are all together. And in the second comment, Patricia provides an update. Likely after making a change in the external document, she confirms I have updated 31B and notes that she is attaching a revised draft. The screenshot provides two critical things for you. Number one, context is the king. The interface is very clean. It shows who commented, when they modified the comment, and the comment is specific and very actionable. Plus, you have attachments along with every comment. Second, the auditability. Every interaction that you see here is timestamped, linked to a specific user, and also maintained right here on the work item. The permanent record is your definitive source of truth for any inquiry that you need to carry on in this work item at a future point in time. So that's the power of the comments and attachments feature that we have in POET that could be very well utilized for collaboration internally as well as with your external partners. Now, let's talk about the feature that generates a lot of excitement, especially for the teams who work heavily with the external partners. So, we all know the reality of the supply chain. Your partners, be they the CMOs, the 3PLs, or suppliers, they're all not always going to be logged into your system. They live in their inboxes. So, Poet's email based interaction is designed to bridge that gap. It's how we bring your entire partner ecosystem into the process, into that single source of truth, without forcing them to learn a new tool. And let's look at how. So, this slide is the most important one for you to understand the power of the Poet's email collaboration feature. This is the blueprint. It shows how we connect your inbox to your partner's inbox and to the Poet system, creating one seamless auditable loop. So, let's trace this step by step, starting from top left. The step one, this is where the process begins. It all starts with when a user sends an inbound email to a dedicated Poet email address. Let's imagine this as a partner at your 3PL or CMO. Let's say they identified a shipping discrepancy and they email your exceptions inbox. At step two, Poets take an action. So Poet receives that email, and that email doesn't just sit in an inbox. The system reads it, and as this arrow shows, an object is created in the POET. A new work item for this shipping discrepancy is automatically generated. The email subject that was received at step 1 becomes the title of the object or the work item. The body of the email becomes the first comment, and any attachments that are received with the email are added along with the comment. At step 3, POET notifies the stakeholders. The moment that object is created, POET's workflow automatically triggers an outbound creation email. This email is sent to all the relevant stakeholders, maybe your internal logistics team, and also back to the 3PL partner as a confirmation that the object that they had sent an email for to be created has been acknowledged, and an object uh, for it has already been created in the system. At step 4, the human in the loop response. Now this is where the collaboration begins. A user responds to this email that they just received at step number 3. Your internal logistics manager hits reply and say like, thank you, please investigate and send us the updated packing list, for example. At step number 5, the loop updates itself. So this is the magic. Following the arrow, the reply is received by POET. What user responded from here is received here in the POET, and the object is updated with a comment. The manager's email that was sent earlier is now permanently part of the work item's history. And then at step number 6, the loop repeats. And here's what makes it a loop. Because the object was just updated, the system immediately triggers an outbound email. The new email goes back to all the stakeholders, including your 3PL partner, showing them the manager's request. And then the dotted line, as you see here, the 3PL partner or even your own company can now reply to this new email, which will again be added as a comment, which will again trigger an update. Hence, a loop here. So this is a continuous bidirectional and an auditable conversation. It starts with a single email, like you see, and evolves into a managed process, all while allowing your partners to work in the tool that they use every day, their emails. Now, let's break each part of this loop in more detail. Let's zoom in on that very first step, the inbound email. So creating a work item via inbound email, this is all about reducing friction and manual data entry. You can configure POET with a dedicated email address. And whenever an email is sent to that address, the system intelligently parses it. The email subject becomes the title of the new work item. The entire email body is captured as the first comment, and that gives you the full context of the original request. And any attachments that are sent along with the email are attached to that work item automatically. Now, this is for many the most powerful part of the email workflow. It's not just about creating work items, it's about managing their entire life cycle from your inboxes. So, when POI sends an email notification, which we'll cover next, that email is live. You or your partner can simply hit reply. The system is smart enough to read that reply, identify the unique work item it belongs to, and post the body of your reply as a new comment. So let's trace the flow with an example. A POET notification about a deviation is sent to your CMO. The CMO replies, hey, we are investigating and will report the updates to you in next 48 hours, attaching our initial findings. That reply and that attached initial findings document are automatically logged in the work items comment history. You have a full audit trail and your partner never left their inbox. This is all happening while they are still in their inbox, and your objects or your work items in the POET are getting real-time updates. So that's the power of the email collaboration we are talking about. So, this is the how behind what we just discussed. The key concept to understand is that Poet's outbound emails are not do not reply dead ends. They are replyable emails. We have transformed a simple notification into a live two-way communication channel. Any outbound email that you receive, if you hit reply and send us an email, that is taken as a comment. So the reply button in your email client is now a direct auditable ready link into your core business process. So now, when does Poise send these replyable emails? When do you get these outbound emails from TraceLink or from Poet? The system sends them automatically based on some key events in the workflow. Number one, when a new work item is created. When a new work item is created, all the relevant stakeholders are immediately notified and the communication trail begins. Whenever a significant update is made on that work item, like you change the status, you update an attribute, or you add a new comment, the system again sends a notification to keep everyone in the loop and to keep everyone posted on the latest updates happening on that business object. So no one has to ask, what's the latest on this? Where are we with this? The system proactively pushes that information to you and your partners. The same logic applies to the end of the process. When an item is closed or marked as done, a final email is sent, closing the loop for all the stakeholders. But what I want to draw your attention to is the second tile here, which is the partner inclusion. This is critical. So, when a work item is assigned, for example, you assigned a work item to any of your partner company, their users are automatically included in the notification flow. As soon as you assign them in the app, they receive a notification from TraceLink. So you don't have to remember to CC your partner contacts on an email, or somehow inform them about a work item being assigned to them. The system manages that for you, ensuring your partners are always up to date and receives the notifications immediately for anything which is assigned to them or is concerned with them somehow. Now let's see what these outbound emails actually look like. What is the kind of information that we send out? First, they provide an object snapshot, which includes things like who, what, and when attributes. Who updated, what update they made, and when they updated. This means your partners have immediate context and don't have to log in just to understand the request. Second, they clearly show the current state. So everyone knows if the item is currently open, pending review, or closed. And third, as we have highlighted, the email is reply to enabled. We give your users enough context to take meaningful action right from their inbox and reply to that email for that to be logged in as a comment and take the conversation or the work item forward in its life cycle. Okay, so we have seen the what and the how. Now let's apply this to a real world scenario, and that's critical for your pharma supply chain, which is managing your compliance exceptions. This is where the flexibility and of the POIS collaboration tools really shine. Let's make this tangible for your day to day operations. So, for compliance exceptions, many of you work with authorities like the STA who have mandated very specific structured formats for communication. So, this isn't just a casual email, right? It's a very formal and compliance driven process where every field in the body of the email holds some importance. Poet's email engine is powerful enough to be configured for this. On the inbound side, it can be set up to parse these structured HTA format emails. It can identify that field 1 is the product code like NDC or field 2 say is the lot number, etc. and map that data correctly to the compliance exception object in POET. So this is all automated and very structured data capture process that we have. Just as importantly, on the outbound, when your team replies, or sends updates, the system can reformat that communication back into the required HTA format. So, this is important for your partners. While receiving these emails, they receive them in a very specific or the industry adopted format, which is prescribed by HTA. So, this makes sure even if your partner wants to ingest these emails directly into their internal systems, they can do so because we are not working out of a very specific or tracing driven format. We are working on an industry specific format. Everybody can ingest these emails into their internal system, which will in turn make your compliance exceptions move faster and reaching to a resolution faster. What you are seeing here on this slide is a template of an actual inbound email, which is following the Healthcare Distribution Alliance or the HTA prescribed format. If you notice the structure here, it is loaded with critical defined fields like the PO number, the NDCs, the batch and the lot number, the SSCC 18 data, and etc. Normally, what happens, when you have an email like this, if you receive an email like this, what happens? Someone would receive this and manually copy all of these data points or the numbers into the system and often could also make a mistake. Now, with Poet, that changes. Poet has been made smart enough to read and parse this email. It, it does not just treat the email body as a blob of text for a comment. Instead, for the compliance exceptions, the system recognizes the labels, like the NDCs involved in the exception or SSCC 18 or the scope of exception. We try to recognize the labels of the field and automatically map the values directly into the correct field in the compliance exception object. So, the benefit, if you try to understand, the benefit of this is huge. You eliminate the friction of manual data entry for the compliance critical information. The exception is created instantly, accurately, and with all its structured data intact. It's automatically logged as soon as you receive the email, and the right workflow is kicked off immediately. It's automated data capture, which is essential for your audit readiness as well. So the benefits here are huge, and the system gives you immense benefits on providing you inbuilt capabilities to parse such emails in the industry specific formats. Now, in the last slide, we showed you the power of the inbound email. This slide completes the picture by showing you exactly what your partners receive on the outbound side. So, this is the notification email that automatically gets triggered and sent the moment the compliance exception is created in POIT. Look at the subject line first. It's immediately clear what the email is all about. This is again coming from the HTA prescribed format. So HTA has given us a guideline on how your subject line should look like. And this is exactly the same. You have some trading partner information here, and then you have the exception category, and then you have an identifier from the external system. At the end, if you see here, it has the automatically generated compliance exception ID. So this is the ID which gets created or assigned to the compliance exception, which is created when the inbound email is received. This is a crucial piece of the puzzle as that unique ID tells POIT exactly which object to update when the partner hits reply on this particular email. Now, take a look at the body. The body of the email tells the full story right away. It starts by communicating the audit history in one sentence, like Joe Blank added compliance exception CE123. This answers the what, who, and when. Below that, you see the full snapshot of the object's data. This is essential, right? You see what all was details are part of the compliance exception. You see everything noted here. Your partner don't have to waste time logging into a system, just to find what the PO number against this compliance exception was, or what NDC it is raised against, or what is the information of the sender or the receiver. It is all delivered right there in their inbox. And finally, the structure here is no accident. Just like the inbound email we saw, this outbound template is formatted to meet those HTA guidelines. It ensures your communications are always professional, consistent, and regulatory compliant. And because it is replyable, the partner has all the details they need and can immediately respond to start the investigation. Their reply goes straight back into the CE123 business object as an auditable comment, keeping the collaboration tight and efficient. Now, this slide shows the outbound update transaction that gets automatically triggered later in the process when the object is updated. So now let's imagine your partner, say New Horizon Pharma, reply to the creation email. Now Poet will log their reply as a comment. Your internal quality team now reviews that comment, makes a change to the exception status inside the Poet and saves it, for example. This save action that your quality team just did instantly triggers the outbound update email. Notice a few key things here. The subject line maintains continuity with the outbound creation email. This is great for keeping threads organized, number one. And second, it again falls into the HTA prescribed format guidelines. But the content here is the real value. If you see, the text here clearly says Joe Blank modified the compliance exception. And when this user did this. So this provides the timestamp proof of the modification and who modified the business object. And again, the data here is again coming from the HTA prescribed format itself, giving user all the context that they need to take the further action on this exception ticket. Now, if you see, this is how we ensure that your entire supply chain is working off the same set of information and always on the latest set of information while sending these outbound updates or creation email updates or receiving inbound updates. So that's where the power of this email feature actually lies. So that's the theory we have been talking so far. Now let's see. Let's see what all I have been speaking about in a demo here. I'm going to switch from the slides and show you this exact flow on my screen. Okay, so I'm in my inbox here. The user is now trying to send an email inbound to trace link to create a compliance exception. If you see here, they have mentioned an email address which is trace link generated on which they need to send an email to create a compliance exception. In the subject line, they provide the information in the HTA prescribed format. They gave us the trading partner information, the exception category, and the external system identifier. And in the body, again, they gave us all of the information that was present to them while raising exception in the HTA prescribed format. They gave us information like order number, the delivery number, NDCs, batch or the lot number, expiration date, serial numbers, what the exception category is, where did that exception occur, source of source on or the location GLNs, destination, owning or location GNS, etc. And then they send this email. Now, upon receiving this email, there should be two actions. If you recall what we have been talking so far in the last 30 minutes or so, when an email is sent to TraceLink, first an object is created in the system, and second, an outbound email is sent to the respective audience, informing them of an object that has been created. So, this is that outbound email that we just spoke about. This is the outbound email that gets triggered when an object is created, and the line here, the first line in the body, clearly specifies so. It says the user created compliance exception C89 on so and so date for which company within the what process network. And here in the body, you have all the information that was furnished to TraceLink while the user sent an inbound email for the creation. So we make sure every critical information which is part of the HTA prescribed format and was given to us while creating the object or is given to us at any point in time later in the flow while updating the object through UI or APIs is furnished in the email. So you have the latest information to work with at any point in time. Now, next, the user is trying to reply to this. They receive this inbound email, and now what the user is doing is they are trying to reply to this email. If you noticed, the user just hit reply and they see an automated email address written here to which they can now reply. They added lines and added image and attached a file and clicked on send. Now let's see how this actually works in the system or how these things look here in the Poet application now. If you recall from the email that we saw, the compliance exception number was CE89, and that is what we are seeing here. So the initial email, the first email that the user sent to create an exception is what was read and parsed to fetch all of this information that you see here on the UI, like the issue tracking number or the title or the initiating company, the delivery number and the PO number, the delivery information like from business to business, ship from business, ship to business, your product information, your serial numbers, then your transaction identifiers like PO number, etc., and the contact information. All of that information is parsed from the email that we received and is fed into each field on the actual business object. Now, this is the outbound email that this user just received because a comment was added. A comment addition by replying to an email is an update action. That update action again triggers an outbound email, which is this. So if you see here, the first line says the user modified the compliance exception. So what I'm trying to show you here is every update or every action that you do on the business object triggers an outbound email, keeping you aware about the latest happenings. And if you see here now on the UI or in the actual business object, we are again into CE89. Down here, you will see that the comment that the user added via email, adding image for the ibuprofen and attached a file is right here in the system. This attachment here is downloadable. User can download this on their local system and view the files. So this is how the entire flow goes. Again, for editing, user can choose to edit business object directly from the user interface. Now this user is trying to edit the business object, filling in some of the values which were not provided to us while through the email and also progressing the workflow state. Now an update has been made. This will again trigger an outbound email indicating what has been changed. So an assignee company was just set. If you see, the user just set an assignee company. So this should be reflected in the email. If you see now in the subject line, it has a QA partner corp company set as the assignee company here or the trading partner 2 in the transaction now. So that's how the entire thing comes into a picture or how everything binds together. You make an update or you create an object via email, you get an outbound email, you reply to them, your replies get added as a comment, and then again that triggers an outbound email. You can reply to them to make any updates on the business object, or you can choose to also edit the business objects either from the UI or via APIs. Those updates again trigger the outbound emails. So any mode of communication or any mode of updates you choose to work with, always make sure your inbox has the latest information available to you and to your partners. So, as you just saw in the demo, this isn't just about the features, it's about driving the real business value, right? And let's recap what that means for you. First, the efficiency. You're reducing the manual data entry. Your emails are automatically read and parsed, and your objects are automatically created. You're not context switching 50 times a day, and you're kicking off your processes very fast. Second, and for this industry, this is arguably the most important, a centralized audit trail. This is your single source of truth for an audit. Every email, every reply, every attachment, and whatever it is, all gets logged in one place with timestamps and user details. So, no more hunting through inboxes as to who sent what, who, where is that file, who said what, when. No more doing that. Third is the seamless partner collaboration. You are making it easy for people to work with you. You're removing friction for your CMOs and 3PS. And that in turn, and finally, the flexibility. This system, the POE system, supports your processes. It doesn't dictate them. It allows your teams to work where they are most productive in the UI, in the APIs, or in their own email clients, while still feeding everything into one unified compliant process. So that's where the business benefits of this feature or the collaboration in Poet lies. So that's an overview of the people collaboration in Poet. I hope this has shown you how these tools are specifically designed to meet the high stakes or the high compliance needs of the pharma supply chain. Thank you for your time. And with that, I would be happy to open the floor for any questions that you may have.
Thank you, Ayushi. I just have a couple of questions.
Sure.
How do attachments work when partners collaborate through email? Are they stored securely?
Oh, yes, absolutely. So, whenever we receive any attachment through an inbound email, be it a PDF file or an image or any report, that is securely stored as an attachment along with the comment on the corresponding work item or the compliance exception. Poet takes this responsibility of automatically associating the file with the correct object.
Mhm.
And also, we maintain a full audit trail of who sent it and when it was sent. So this eliminates the common issue, that we generally face with the partners emailing a critical file which never gets stored or tracked properly. So yes, all of the attachments are stored securely with us. They are attached with the right business object and are linked to the right comment against which they were sent to us.
Okay, that sounds good. Thank you. And can email replies accidentally override fields or change the wrong data on a work item?
Good question. So the answer is no. Poet takes every email reply as comment or attachments if there are any with that email. We do not update directly any fields using the emails. And this is basically done to protect the integrity of your workflow and prevent any accidental modification of any of your structured data. Field level updates or the attribute updates that you see on the UI will still happen through UI or API only, where if the users do that, they're guided through the required fields, what the required fields on that particular business object are, what are the validations on those fields, or if there are any workflow rules. Email replies are only taken as a comment. And then they maintain a complete audit history of when something was, mentioned to us, when something was shared with us, and who shared that. So yes, there is no chance of us updating or overwriting a field incorrectly on a work item via email replies.
Okay, that's good. Thank you. And if partners do respond via email, how do we ensure the conversation stays tied to the right work item or compliance exception?
All right. So this is all handled and taken care of automatically in the Poet.
Mhm.
If the compliance exception email template that we just saw, the subject line that was there, that has an object identifier, and every outbound email that we send has an object identifier in the subject line. So when somebody hits reply on an outbound email, Poet understands that identifier and routes the reply directly to that particular object, to that work item or that compliance exception. So from a user standpoint, they don't have to do anything specific for us to know what work item or compliance exception they are updating. They just need to hit reply and maintain the subject line as is and send the email that they want to send us. And
Okay.
everything else is then taken care of automatically within the application itself.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. Thank you. And I'm just going to see if there are any questions from any of the participants. No, well, as always, and as I mentioned at the beginning, if you do have any questions following this tech talk, or if you watch the recording and you have follow-up questions, please feel free to email tracinguniversity@tracing.com. I'll pass them on to Ayushi for you, and yeah, just let us know if you do have any inquiries. But thank you so much, Ayushi. That's been really helpful understanding more about Poet and the email integration, how that works, and the flexibility that there is available in terms of communicating with any partners who may not be able to go into the UI or use API. So thank you. Um, and yeah, hopefully there'll be more tech talks on this subject in the future as well. So stay tuned. Thank you. Thanks, Yushi.
Thanks, Laura.
Take care. Bye bye.